You know what I've discovered after all these years? People don't have a time problem. They have a priority problem. You've got the same 24 hours I've got. Same 24 hours the successful person down the street has. But here's the difference, and this might sting a little. You're spending major time on minor things. See, we've lost our sense of seasons, lost track of what matters and what's trivial. And until you understand this one simple truth, you'll keep running in circles, exhausted, wondering where all your time went. Let me share something with you today that could change everything. Listen, I'm not here to give you another productivity hack or teach you how to squeeze more into your already packed schedule. That's not the answer. What I want to share with you today is something deeper, something that changed my life when Mr. Schoaf taught it to me over 40 years ago. Here's what you're going to learn. The real reason you never have time has nothing to do with how many hours are in a day. It has everything to do with your personal philosophy, how you think about life, what you value, and what you've decided matters most. Maybe you're like I was. You wake up with good intentions, you work hard all day, you collapse into bed exhausted. But when you look back at the week, you can't point to anything significant you've accomplished. The important things, your health, your family, your dreams, your growth, they keep getting pushed to tomorrow, and tomorrow never comes. Or maybe you've noticed that you spend more time talking about what you're going to do than actually doing it. More time preparing to work than working. More time on your way to success than with success. But here's the beautiful part, and I've seen this work in my own life and in the lives of thousands I've taught. When you fix your philosophy, everything changes. Not someday, right away. When you learn to separate the majors from the minors, when you understand the seasons of life, when you get your priorities in order, suddenly you have all the time you need. Not because the clock changed, because you changed. Most people think the answer is to work faster, sleep less, multitask better. That's like treating symptoms instead of the disease. The disease is confused values. The disease is major time on minor things. The disease is activity without purpose. What I'm going to share isn't complicated. It's simple. But don't confuse simple with easy. These are fundamentals, principles that have worked for 6,000 years and will work for the next 6,000. This is about becoming the kind of person who attracts success, not chasing it. About working smarter on yourself than you do on your job. About building a life, not just making a living. I know how it feels to be overwhelmed. To feel like you're drowning in responsibilities. To see the years passing and wonder where they went. But I also know the joy, the absolute joy, of living a well-balanced life. Of finishing your days satisfied. Of looking back with no regrets. That's available to you, starting today. All you have to do is be willing to change your thinking. Let me take you back to when I was 25 years old. I had been working for 6 years, 6 hard years, and I decided to take stock of where I was. My paycheck was $57 a week, $57. I had a growing family, a pile of bills on the kitchen table, and more month left over at the end of the money. Sound familiar? But here's what really scared me. I was working hard. Really hard. I was sincere. I was ambitious. I thought success was just around the corner. But instead of making progress, I was falling further behind every day. One day I lost $10. Just $10. And I got so upset about it, I felt physically ill for 2 weeks. My friend tried to cheer me up. He said, "Jim, maybe some poor soul who needed it found that money." But that didn't help. As far as I was concerned, I was the poor soul who needed it. Then I met Earl Schoaf, and everything changed. I went to a seminar where he was speaking, and I can't tell you exactly what he said that night, but I remember thinking to myself, I would give anything to be like that man. A few months later, he hired me, and for the next 5 years, he became my mentor. He treated me like a son. One day I said to him, "Mr. Schoaf, if I had more time, I could do so much more." You know what he said? He said, "Jim, it's not about having more time. It's about using the time you have differently." Then he said something I'll never forget. Don't wish it were easier. Wish you were better. Don't wish for fewer problems. Wish for more skills. Don't wish for less of a challenge. Wish for more wisdom. That changed everything for me. See, I thought my problem was outside circumstances. Not enough time, not enough money, not enough opportunity. But Mr. Shof showed me the problem was inside, my philosophy, my thinking, my priorities. And once I understood that, I had to face a hard truth about how I was actually spending my days. Let me tell you about a farmer. Because once you understand how a farmer works, you'll understand why you're struggling with time. For a farmer, springtime is his busiest season. He's up before the sun, working until midnight. His equipment is running full capacity. Why? Because he has a small window of time to plant his crops. Miss the spring, and there's no harvest in the fall. That's just how it works. Then comes summer. Still busy, but different work. Cultivating, fertilizing, protecting the crops, tending them morning to night. Fall, that's harvest time. Reaping what he planted in spring, gathering the results of all that labor. And winter, things slow down. Less to do. Time to rest, repair equipment, plan for next spring. Now, here's the lesson, and this is important. The farmer knows his seasons. He knows when to pour it on and when to ease back. He knows when to take advantage and when to let things ride. But you and I, we've lost our sense of seasons. We live in this industrialized age where every day looks the same. 9 to 5, year in and year out. One year blends into the next in an endless parade of tasks and responsibilities. We lose sight of what's valuable and what's trivial. A farmer would never spend major time on minor crops. He'd never plant weeds and expect to harvest wheat. He'd never ignore spring and expect a fall harvest. But that's exactly what we do with our time. We spend 3 hours watching television and 10 minutes with our children. We spend major money on minor things, candy and junk, and minor money on major things like books and personal development. We work harder on our jobs than we do on ourselves. And the result? Well, let me tell you what happened to me when I finally figured this out. After learning from Mr. Shof, I started paying attention to how I spent my time. Really paying attention. And I was shocked. I thought I was busy. And I was. But I was busy with the wrong things. I'd spend an hour gossiping with coworkers about nothing, but I'd skip reading for lack of time. I'd watch television every night for hours, but I'd say I didn't have time to exercise. I'd complain about my situation for 30 minutes, but I wouldn't spend 30 minutes planning how to change it. See what was happening? I had plenty of time for minor things, but I'd convinced myself I had no time for major things. So I made a decision. I decided to start treating time like I'd treat money if I only had a limited amount. If you only had $100, would you waste it on nonsense? No, you'd be careful. You'd invest it in something valuable. I started asking myself one question before doing anything. Is this a major or a minor? Major time with my family? Absolutely. Major time reading and learning? Yes. Major time planning my future? Essential. Major time watching meaningless television? No. Major time complaining? No. Major time on activities that don't move me toward my goals? No. And you know what happened? Within just a few months, my whole life started changing. Not because I got more time, because I changed how I used the time I already had. Now let me share with you the principles that made this transformation possible. Here's the first fundamental truth you must understand. It all starts with philosophy. Your personal philosophy is the set of beliefs and attitudes that determine how you approach life. It's your internal compass. And here's what most people don't realize. It's your philosophy that establishes your attitude. Your attitude determines your activity. Your activity produces your results. Most people try to change the results without changing the philosophy. That's like cursing the effect while nourishing the cause. If you don't like your results, you must change your philosophy. You must change how you think. Right now, your philosophy about time might be, I don't have enough time. I'm too busy. There aren't enough hours in the day. But that's a flawed philosophy. And as long as you hold on to it, you'll keep getting the same results. The correct philosophy is this. I have all the time I need for what truly matters. My job is to decide what truly matters. See the difference? One philosophy makes you a victim, the other makes you responsible. And let me tell you something. Success is attracted to the person who becomes, not to the person who wishes. You can wish for more time all you want. It won't change a thing. But become the kind of person who values time properly. Everything changes. To have more, you must first become more. And you become more by developing a better philosophy. This is the foundation. This is where it all begins. Your philosophy about time, about work, about value, about priorities, that's what determines everything else. Get your philosophy right, and the rest starts to fall into place. Now, here's something that might surprise you. Unless you have goals, it is impossible to manage your time effectively. Impossible. You cannot manage time without goals. You can stay busy without goals. You can fill your calendar without goals. But you cannot be productive without goals. Why? Because productivity is the result of well-defined objectives. If your objectives aren't clear, how do you know what deserves your time and what doesn't? It's like trying to navigate without a destination. You might be moving, but you're not going anywhere. Most people don't write their goals. They have vague wishes. I want to be successful. I want to be happy. I want to have more time. That's not a goal. That's a fantasy. A goal is specific, written down, clear. I will read 1 book per month for personal development. I will spend 1 hour each evening with my family with no distractions. I will invest 30 minutes every morning planning my day. Once you have clear goals, time management becomes simple. You ask, does this activity move me toward my goals? If yes, it gets your time. If no, it doesn't. That's it. That's the whole system. This is one of the many reasons why writing goals down on paper is so important. When your goals are written, when they're clear, when you look at them every day, they become your filter for decision making. They tell you what to say yes to and what to say no to. They tell you where to invest your precious time and where not to. Without goals, you're at the mercy of whatever comes your way. Somebody asks for your time. You give it. Something looks interesting, you chase it. An interruption comes, you respond to it. But with goals, you have a standard. You have a measure. You can ask, is this moving me forward or is this just motion without progress? Here's a question that will transform your life. Is this a major or a minor? Ask that. Before every decision, before every activity, before you say yes to anything, a major is something that has significant impact on your goals, your values, your future. A minor is everything else. Let me give you some examples. Spending time with your children while they're young, that's a major. Reading books that develop your mind and skills, that's a major. Scrolling through social media for an hour, that's a minor. Planning your week so you can be productive, that's a major. Reacting to every interruption that comes your way, that's a minor. Here's the problem. We spend major time on minor things, and we spend minor time on major things. A parent spends 3 hours watching TV and 10 minutes playing with their children. A person spends a fortune on junk food and almost nothing on personal development. Someone spends all day at work but never works on themselves. Values are all mixed up. Here's what you need to understand. Don't spend major time on minor things, and don't spend minor time on major things. If something's major, give it the time it deserves. If it's minor, give it minor time or eliminate it altogether. The best use of time comes from putting maximum value in it. Careful investment for maximum results. In sales, we used to teach, there exists only one major time. That's the time we spend in the presence of a prospect. Any time spent on the way to the prospect, no matter how essential, is minor time. Too many salespeople spend more time on the way to than with, and their incomes reflect this. That's why we taught, don't go across town until you've gone across the street. The majors and minors concept applies to everything. Don't spend major money on minor things, and don't spend minor money on major things. Some people spend a fortune on food for their bodies, and very little on food for their minds. If you spend more on candy than on inspirational books, that would be foolish, right? Start today. Look at your calendar. Look at how you spent yesterday. Ask yourself honestly, how much time did I give to majors? How much to minors? And be willing to face the truth. Because once you see it clearly, You can make different choices. Remember that farmer I told you about? He understands something we've forgotten. Life has seasons. There's a season to plant and a season to harvest. A season to work intensely and a season to rest. A season to build and a season to maintain. You cannot plant and harvest at the same time. You cannot work at full capacity year-round without burning out. You must understand the rhythm. When it's springtime in your life, when opportunity is in front of you, that's when you pour it on. You work around the clock if you have to. You seize the moment. Because opportunity doesn't wait. It presents itself briefly and then passes. Spring is the time to take advantage. Make a note of these 2 words. Take advantage. Don't let the balmy weather confuse you. If you want to look good in the fall, this is the time to plant the seeds. In fact, we all have to excel at one of 2 things. Either we become good at planting in the spring, or we learn how to beg in the fall. But if you miss the spring, you cannot cry to the soil for an advance in the fall. Nature doesn't work that way. Life doesn't work that way. Then comes winter. And winters will come. Economic winters. When the financial wolves are at the door. Physical winters. When our health is shot. Personal winters. When our heart is smashed to pieces. Wintertime. Disappointments. Loneliness. That's how the blues were written. So the big question is, how do we handle the winters? Some people go to the calendar, tear out the month of January, and pretend it isn't there. But that's the childish approach. It solves nothing. Let me tell you what mature people do. They get stronger. They get wiser. They get better. Not a bad idea. To use the winter for personal development. Before I understood this, I used to spend my winters looking for summers. I didn't understand. Then, finally, when I was going through a sales slump, Mr. Schoaf said, "Don't wish it were easier. Wish you were better. Don't wish for fewer problems. Wish for more skills. Don't wish for less of a challenge. Wish for more wisdom." Since then, I can't honestly tell you that I've welcomed the winters, but I can tell you that I've used them to gear up for spring, which always comes after winter. You see, life is a mixture of opportunity and difficulty. It has been that way for 6,000 years. It isn't going to change. Sometimes you can figure it out. Sometimes it's a puzzle. Sometimes it goes well. Sometimes it's a disaster. Sometimes it sails along. Sometimes it gets all tied up in knots. After 6,000 years of recorded history, life is a mixture. That's the way it is. The question is, well then, how will my life change? And the answer is, your life will change only when you change. The only way it gets better for you is when you get better. Better is not something you wish, it's something you become. You can change. You can learn to work with the seasons instead of against them. Learn to use the seasons of life. Decide when to pour it on and when to ease back, when to take advantage and when to let things ride. It's easy to keep going from 9 to 5 year in and year out and lose a natural sense of priorities and cycles. Don't let one year blend into another in a seemingly endless parade of tasks and responsibilities. Keep your eye on your own seasons, lest you lose sight of value and substance. Here's an absolute law. Results are always in direct proportion to effort. If the farmer plants only a handful of seeds in spring, he cannot expect a bountiful harvest in fall. It doesn't matter how much he needs it. It doesn't matter how much he wants it. Need and want don't change the harvest. Only sowing determines reaping. Same with your life. If you've engaged in only minimal activity in the past, you cannot expect significant results in the present. If you've spent your time on trivial pursuits, you cannot expect major rewards. The good news? The formula works both ways. A few simple disciplines practiced every day can change everything. When you start reading, you develop awareness. When you start exercising, you feel vitality. When you start planning, you gain control. The results are almost immediate, but here's what you must understand. You cannot change the past. If your past activity produced poor results, there's nothing you can do about it. We cannot alter the past. We cannot ask nature to make an exception to the rules no matter how hungry we are. Nor will nature permit us to ask the soil for an advance. But you can prepare for the next spring. You can start today planting better seeds. The only thing we can do is to prepare for the inevitable arrival of another spring, another opportunity, and then plant, nourish, and tend our new crop as diligently as possible. Every day you have a choice. You can either plant seeds of success or seeds of failure, seeds of discipline or seeds of neglect. What you plant today, you'll harvest tomorrow. No exceptions. So plant well and be patient for the harvest. All that we do determines our future results. Like the farmer who tills the soil in preparation for planting the seed, we must work to develop a sound philosophy. Like the farmer who cultivates and fertilizes his crop to destroy the weeds and nourish the growing seeds, we must strive to develop a new attitude. And like the farmer who tends his crop from morning until nightfall in anticipation of the future harvest, we must engage in labor, in daily activity. Here's the first discipline that will change your life. Don't start your day until you have it finished. Every morning, before you do anything else, take 15 minutes to plan your day, not in your head, on paper. Get a journal, get a calendar, whatever works for you, but write it down. Ask yourself, what are my 3 most important tasks today? Your majors. What will move me toward my goals? What deserves my best energy and focus? Then schedule those things first. Put them in your calendar before anything else. Protect that time like it's sacred, because here's what happens without a plan. The urgent drowns out the important. Other people's priorities become yours. You spend the day reacting instead of acting. But when you start with a plan, you stay in control. And here's the progression. Don't start your day until it's finished. Don't start your week until it's finished. Don't start your month until it's finished. Master the day, then the week, then the month. Before you know it, you're planning your whole life with purpose and intention. Plan your week before you start it. Imagine what your life will be like if you ask yourself on Sunday night, what do I want to accomplish this week? Yes, I know, it's a bit of a stretch, but if you learn to plan your days as part of your overall game plan for the week, all the parts will fit much better. As a result, each day will be that much more effective. Once you master your planning for a week, you are able to plan your life 1 month at a time. By following this rule, your weeks and days become part of a bigger design. You are developing a long-term view of your life, gaining greater perspective because you are now planning, and you'll be learning to coordinate your daily, weekly, and monthly goals with your 3-month, 6-month, and 1-year goals. It's going to take great discipline on your part. But when you accomplish this, you will be called a master. Here's your second practice. Start asking, is this a major or a minor, before every decision. Before you say yes to a meeting, ask, is this a major or a minor? Before you spend an hour on social media, ask, is this a major or a minor? Before you commit to another obligation, ask, is this a major or a minor? If it's a minor, it gets minor time. Or better yet, eliminate it. Make a list right now. My majors: time with family, personal development, health and fitness, building my career or business. Whatever truly matters to you. My minors: mindless entertainment, gossip and complaints, activities that don't serve my goals, time-wasting habits. Once you see it clearly on paper, you can make different choices. Remember, don't spend major time on minor things. Don't spend major money on minor things. Invest where it counts. Third practice. Every week, review how you spent your time. Take 30 minutes on Sunday evening or Monday morning. Look back at the past week, honestly. Ask yourself, where did my time actually go? How much time did I give to majors versus minors? What would I do differently? What will I change next week? This isn't about feeling guilty. It's about learning. It's about making mid-course corrections. Remember, when they send a rocket to the moon, they know the rocket will eventually get a little off course. The first set of guidance will not be enough for the whole trip. There will be need for a mid-course correction. You and I are no different. From time to time, we too must execute our own mid-course correction if we are to become successful. After all, wouldn't you want to be the kind of person who can serve as a role model for wealth and happiness? This isn't about perfection. You won't get it perfect, But if you review and adjust every week, you'll get better and better. And here's what happens. After a few months of this practice, you'll be amazed at how much more you accomplish. Not because you got more time, because you learn to use time wisely. You'll finish your days satisfied instead of exhausted. You'll look back on your weeks with pride instead of regret. That's the power of a few simple disciplines practiced every day. One of the exciting things about the formula for success is that the results are almost immediate. As we voluntarily change daily errors into daily disciplines, we experience positive results in a very short period of time. When we change our diet, our health improves noticeably in just a few weeks. When we start exercising, we feel a new vitality almost immediately. When we begin reading, we experience a growing awareness and a new level of self-confidence. Whatever new discipline we begin to practice daily will produce exciting results that will drive us to become even better at developing new disciplines. The real magic of new disciplines is that they will cause us to amend our thinking. If we were to start today to read the books, keep a journal, attend the classes, listen more, and observe more, then today would be the first day of a new life leading to a better future. If we were to start today to try harder, and in every way make a conscious and consistent effort to change subtle and deadly errors into constructive and rewarding disciplines, we would never again settle for a life of existence, not once we have tasted the fruits of a life of substance. Now let me share something else with you about concentration. Any professional athlete can tell you about the horrible costs of lack of concentration, just a momentary slip of concentration, and they put one by your feet, and there goes first place in the big money. Don't let it happen to you. Put maximum attention to everything you do. When you write a letter, concentrate. Trying to solve a problem? Concentrate. Having a conversation? That's right, concentrate. You won't believe the effect this will have on your life. Naturally, there is a time to let your mind wander, but do it during a period that you've set aside especially for doing just that. And when you wander, do nothing else. Go off to the beach or that drive in the mountains, away from the pressures of life, let the breeze blow through your hair and let your mind soar, daydream. That's good for you, but do it only at the time you designate as daydreaming time. At all other times, concentrate. Here's another piece of wisdom that changed my life. Learn to work harder on yourself than you do on your job. If you work hard on your job, you can make a living. If you work hard on yourself, you can make a fortune. The most important question to ask on the job is not what am I getting here? The most important question to ask is what am I becoming here? What am I learning? What skills am I developing? What disciplines am I acquiring? See, income rarely exceeds personal development. Sometimes it does, but that's just luck. And you can't depend on luck. The only thing you can depend on is becoming more valuable. If you become more valuable to the marketplace, you will be rewarded. If you become more valuable to your family, you will be treasured. If you become more valuable to your community, you will be respected. Work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Let me tell you about the philosophy that can turn your life around. It's called the ant philosophy. You know, the ants? There's a biblical phrase that urges everyone, especially lazy people, to study ants. Ants are unique for two reasons. First, an ant will never quit. If it's headed somewhere and you put an obstacle in its way, it will either try to climb over it, or go under it, or go around it. If you remove the obstacle, away it goes. And if you put another obstacle in its way, it will try to climb over, under, or around. How long will an ant keep trying? Until it dies. An ant will never quit. What a lesson. The second reason ants are unique? Guess what ants plan for all summer? That's right, winter. And as much will an ant gather in the summer to prepare for winter? All it can. How intelligent. Don't you wish you could grab a grasshopper and shake him by the shoulders? The fable is about the grasshopper who laughed at the ant for storing grain all summer while he kept leaping about the high grass without a care about the future. When the harsh winter came, he starved to death while the ant had plenty. Here's what you need to understand. Rich or poor, the difference is not so much in how much you make as it is in how you use what you make. The choice is yours. Saving, like any form of discipline, has a subtle effect. At the end of a day, a week, or a month, the results are hardly noticeable. But let 5 years lapse, and the differences become pronounced. At the end of 10 years, the differences are dramatic. I used to say, I sure hope things will change. Then I finally discovered that the only way for things to change for me is when I change. When I learned that, everything shifted. See, if you change, everything will change for you. You don't have to change what's outside. The outside will automatically change when you change. But you must be willing to work on yourself with more intensity than you work on anything else. Here's a practice I want you to try. Keep a journal. Now you might say, well, I'm not much of a writer. It doesn't matter. We're not talking about creating great literature here. We're talking about capturing ideas that could change your life. Surely our lives are worth more than a birth certificate, a gravestone, and $500,000 in consumed goods and services compressed between those major milestones. Journals are the tools that enable us to document the details of the failure as well as the progress of our existence, and in the process allows us to become more than we otherwise might have been. We are rapidly becoming a nation of passive intellects. The continued neglect of our reading and our writing skills is leading to increasingly undisciplined thinking habits. Poor thinking habits, poor values, poor decisions. And if this trend remains unchecked, we could soon decline. That is why each of us must make a commitment to develop our full human potential, one discipline at a time, one book at a time, and one small entry in our journal at a time. Only by developing our personal philosophy can we change not only our own lives, but also the lives of those around us. Let me tell you something about lifestyle. Be happy with what you have while pursuing what you want. I try to live this one every day of my life. It's really not so hard to learn the art of living. Even people with modest means can experience a sophisticated lifestyle. They simply save up some of their soda money for a bottle of fine wine. Or they skip going to the movies and attend the theater. Or by saving up their money all year, they have enough for a trip somewhere special or a fine work of art. Don't spend all your money a quarter at a time. Save up and buy something special, something fine, of lasting value, or something which will give you rich memories for a lifetime. Remember, all that candy money can add up to a small fortune. And for a sophisticated person, quality is far more important than quantity. Better a few treasures than a house full of junk. Lifestyle, as I define it, is a matter of awareness, values, education, and disciplined taste. It is an art that brings joy as it's practiced. It's the deliberate decision to savor and enjoy all the experiences and possibilities of life. Think of something you can do today to make you feel richer and better about yourself and your life. Make a phone call to reserve tickets for a concert. Buy some recordings of fine music. Send flowers. Send a thank you note. Plan a trip. Begin to read a classic. Still can't think of anything to do? I'll bet within 50 miles of where you are right now, there are some places you have never seen, some foods you've never tasted, some experiences you've never had. Don't miss anything. Especially those things that are within your reach. It might take a little initiative on your part, but think what rewards await you. All you need to do is allow a conscious act to well up from a unique thought. And this act will bridge your dreams with the reality of new experience. Here's what I want you to understand about work and rest. I have a friend, a successful builder, who created a schedule of working a week and taking off a week. He calls it his work a week, play a week plan. In reality, when you count the weekends, he really plays for 9 days and works for 5 days. Quite a luxury, right? However, let me tell you this. During those 5 days, he works. He really works. You can't believe the whirlwind of activities he creates. The dust really flies as secretaries, accountants, architects, and superintendents meet with him hour upon hour. His 5 days are made up of maximum effort. He goes all out, non-stop. Then he shuts everything off and leaves to play with his family. Amazing. One of the great rules of time management is this. Know thyself. Each of us has a unique biological clock which daily controls the peaks and ebbs of our productivity. Some of us are morning people. Some are night owls. Some hit their stride midday. Learn when you're at your best and schedule your most important work for those peak hours. Don't fight your natural rhythm. Work with it. Use it to your advantage. So let me bring this all together for you. The real reason you never have time is not because there aren't enough hours in the day. It's because you haven't decided what deserves the hours you have. It's because you've confused activity with productivity. It's because you're spending major time on minor things. But now you know better. And once you know better, you can do better. Here's what I want you to remember. Your life will change when you change. Not when you get more time. Not when circumstances improve. When you change your philosophy, your priorities, your daily habits, start with your goals. Write them down. Make them clear. Because without goals, it's impossible to manage time effectively. Separate the majors from the minors. Ask that question every single day. Give major time to major things. Give minor time or no time to minor things. Understand the seasons. Pour it on when it's time to plant. Use the difficult seasons to grow stronger, wiser, better. Remember the law of sowing and reaping. What you plant today determines what you harvest tomorrow. Plant well. Plant with purpose. And finally, remember this. A few simple disciplines practiced every day can change everything. You don't need to overhaul your entire life overnight. You just need to start. Today. Plan your day before you start it. Ask, major or minor, before every decision. Review your week and make adjustments. Keep a journal. Read the books. Work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Learn the ant philosophy. Never quit and prepare for winter. That's it. Simple, but powerful. I've seen this work in my own life. I've seen it work for thousands of others. It'll work for you too, if you're willing to do the work. Don't wish it were easier. Wish you were better. Don't wish for more time. Wish for more wisdom about using the time you have. You can do this, starting right now. If this resonated with you, I'd be grateful if you'd subscribe to this channel for more timeless wisdom on building a better life. Hit that like button if something here struck a chord, and leave a comment below. Tell me, what's one major thing you're going to start giving more time to this week? I'd love to hear from you. Remember, you have everything you need. The question is, what are you going to do with it? Make it a great day.